Hello everyone, and welcome to the sixth episode of Breath of Science. My name is Miguel Teixeira, and I'm a master's degree student in biomedical engineering at the University of Aveiro. Today, I have the pleasure to be accompanied by Pedro Costa, who accepted the invitation to join me in this episode of this podcast. First of all, let me thank you for accepting the challenge, and let us start by introducing then our guest, Pedro. They had founded Auricle 4 years ago to change general perception on bone conduction and bring high-quality bone conduction technology to the masses. Pedro was born with a hearing loss and has been a lifelong multi-instrumentalist musician, which took him on a journey to become an acoustic engineer and now a businessman, with the ambition to democratize and destigmatize audio and hearing technology. So again, let me thank you for your ability to talk with us. And having said that, our first question focus on the definition of rehabilitation engineering itself. How does Pedro describe rehabilitation engineering? What are the main goals?
Sure. Thanks a lot for the invitation, Miguel. So I mean, in my perspective, at least from what I know, rehabilitation engineering is basically any engineering that you do to rehabilitate, right? So it's basically related with health. So like hearing aids is a good example, or prosthetics, and hopefully it will help the patient to rehabilitate, but also hopefully replace something using technology. So some missing sense or organism. In my case, rehabilitation engineering is very specific. So I have my story is actually that I have a hearing loss myself since I was born, and I'm from Portugal, like you, but I'm from the south, from the fisherman town of Portimão. It's been a long time since I left Portugal. And the reason why I left Portugal, well, one of the main reasons was because at the time, I'm a little older than you. At the time, there was not a lot of possibilities for me to expand on knowing more about hearing, about audio in general, as an engineering side, not as a music side, but as a engineering / physics side. So I left Portugal to go to the UK to do a bachelor's, and then came to Denmark to do a master's in acoustics. So rehabilitation engineering for me didn't have that name, rehabilitation engineering, but it was going in that direction. So I've always wanted to have a contribution to hearing technology. So from the very beginning, I wanted to understand better how hearing works and what can you do about it technologically. I use hearing aids since I was a kid, and some hearing aids are just ugly and horrible and sound bad. So I always felt like I could do something about it. So I've tried to rehabilitate my own engineering, and here I am with the Auricle now. Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks.
No
So
problem.
now that we know that Pedro is the founder of Auricle, therefore we'd like to know how do you come up with this idea of founding this company, and what are the main areas that is focused on, and what kind of technologies and solutions does it offer?
Sure. Okay, so like I said, my background is acoustics and sound, and I always had the dream to make a contribution to people with hearing loss like me. So the idea of starting Auricle actually started quite a while ago, at least kind of culminating in my head. But the product itself came, I don't know, 4.5 years ago or something like that, just a little before I started the company. So I was working for hearing aid companies before that. I did a master's in acoustics here, and then I started working in the industry. In Denmark, you have the biggest hearing aid companies in the world, or three of the biggest. So I learned first with the established players, and then at some point I wanted to start my own thing. Now my company is 4 years old. It's still a startup, you could say. We didn't put the product out there in the market yet because there's still I mean, it's nearly finished, the development. And so the product is actually not a medical product yet. So it's still like a consumer product. It's actually kind of a headphone, and then it will mutate, or it can also be used for hearing enhancement in the future. But it's not a regular type of headphone. It's a bone conduction headphone. And a bone conduction headphone, the difference between a bone conduction and a regular headphone is that you have this speaker that conducts the bone instead of conducting the ear canal like this one. So if you conduct directly on the skin and bone, you can go directly into the inner ear. So you bypass the ear canal, the eardrum, and the little bones, and the ear goes directly through the cranium into the inner ear. That's called cochlea. Yeah, so that basically, that technology enables you to listen to sounds in a different way. And some people have a hearing loss, and when I say some, I say many. Many people have a hearing loss that requires that type of technology rather than the regular technology that you would normally get in a hearing aid. So yeah, but right now it's going to be a consumer product because there's also advantages to this kind of headphone as a regular consumer. For example, if you want to bike and you want to be paying attention to everything that's going on around you, you want to have your ears open so you can listen to the music through the bones while you can hear everything at the same time. And so of course you can also say, oh, but now you have transparency mode with regular headphones. But when you have wind noise blowing in the microphones of the headphones in regular headphones.
So the fact that is connected to an inner ear is an advantage.
Yeah, so the fact that the sound goes through the skin and bone rather than going through the ear canal enables you to have your ears open, and therefore you can hear everything. So it's like the complete opposite advantage of noise cancellation. It's like noise cancellation, you want to be completely closed. In this one, you want to be completely open so that you can, for example, we can, like, if we're in the same room and we want to talk at the same time as we listen to something, these type of headphones, it's like you're not wearing anything at all. So you can listen to the headphones and the person at the same time. So there's a bunch of different use cases you can use it for. And then, of course, there's the hearing technology use case that we're gonna focus on in the future. But it's not gonna be released like that. But that's the goal. Yeah. So if you check our website, it's much easier to understand. It's called Auricle.io. But basically the headphone is like you clip it. It's like a clip, and you clip it to this part of your cartilage. You clip it like this.
Yes.
And then the speaker is here. So the sound goes this way. So but you clip it, but so the ear is completely open. So I actually don't have any here, ironically. But I mean, just go to the website and you can check the product, and then you can also check the video. It's very well explained. We have like a 3-minute video there where we actually did a crowdfunding last year, and it explains the product really well. So
I'm sure I will check that on your website.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Continue our interview. The next question I have, knowing that your current area of work, do you believe that biomedical engineering has the ability to offer advantages in development of new devices aiming to hearing technology, and how do you think we can act in this area?
Sorry, but so do I think the rehabilitation engineering is an advantage? And what?
Yes, in development of new devices aiming to hearing technology.
Yeah, of course. I mean, especially like knowing that there's so many people out there that need, I mean, just imagine there's like hundreds of millions of people who need hearing enhancement or hearing technology in some way, shape, or form. It could be hearing aids, it could be something else, but something that improves their hearing so that they can communicate on a daily basis, right? I mean,
Mhm.
everything you do, we're a social species. You need to talk all the time and hear. And for hundreds of millions of people, the only way is to create some kind of rehabilitation engineering device to
Yes.
make them hear. So um, you have hearing aids, and they help many people. But the facts are that, first of all, hearing aids are very expensive. I don't know if you're aware, but one hearing aid
No,
costs around two to 3,000 euros. One hearing aid, and normally you need two because you have hearing loss on both
it's quite
ears.
expensive.
Yes, and after 4 to 5 years, they probably break, so you need to buy a new pair,
Mhm.
right? So there is kind of a revolution happening right now, especially with now that the technology, hearing technology is kind of becoming more, more accessible, like electronics and everything. So so there is a lot of new products coming out, and I think the more types of products for this, the more they exist, the more choice you give to the hearing consumer, because it's not only the price, but it's also the fact that hearing aids are very one-sided. You don't have a lot of choice. This is what you get. And a lot of people actually, it's even known that a lot of people, even when they get hearing aids, they don't like them. They don't like how they look, or they don't like how they feel when they wear them, or they don't like the sound, or they don't like so many different things. But then they already spent the money, right? Or
Yeah.
they can't hear as good as they thought. So yes, I think the more technology gets invented for this purpose, the better humans will be.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, from your experience in the labor market, what are your future perspectives on regarding rehabilitation engineering? What are the main focuses? Which barriers need more research? And about Portugal, do you think will be a bet in the near future?
So I think, and again, I can only speak for my area. I
Mm.
think it's there's a bright future. I think it's more about where you are and what kind of companies you have in the country you are in, and also, do you want to work for other people? Do you want to start your own company? Um, I've heard in the last few years that in Portugal there's more and more investment for new businesses. Um, I also know that we're very good at sometimes at selling ourselves, but in the end, only some people get the money, not everybody.
Yeah.
But it's I think if there's a real possibility to start companies now that make a difference in Portugal, if people are guided towards, I mean, health is a great sector also financially, right? So it's not only about helping people, it's also about the business perspectives. So yeah, I think that could be a future in Portugal if there's a real focus on it. But certainly, if you want to work for someone that is already making a huge difference, or if you want to learn from other companies that it will put you in a different position than
Yes.
the position you are in already, then you might have to go to other countries and go to other companies, at least for a while. But yeah, I think Portugal has improved over the years, but I can't say for certain if it's at the place where now you can you can really do something about it, especially if it's not an established business already. So in the
Mm.
hearing business, Portugal, there's nothing. There's only like shops that resell hearing aids that are actually Danish or American or German. So in the hearing business, to start from scratch, it might be quite difficult in Portugal. But maybe there is something that you might know already that is being done in Portugal to help people to rehabilitate. Yeah, it's hard to say that. It's hard to know.
Let's hope that Portugal continues to grow in that in the
I hope
direction.
so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we are we want to create businesses that help people, right? So I think in that sense we are very human in Portugal, and I think there's the potential. So it's just a matter
Time.
of channeling the money in that direction,
Mm.
because it's
Yes.
in the end of the day, it's all about, do you have the money or don't you have the money? If you don't have the money, you can't make things work because you need people, and to have people, you need money. Otherwise, things don't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, if the money is channeled in the right way, uh, it's possible. Yeah.
Okay. So our final question is we would like to know what advice you could give to the future biomedical engineering who are thinking on pursuing this field in the future.
Yeah, so first I think you should think about, what do you care about, right? So you just told me before our conversation that you care about a specific treatment for cancer cells, and if that's what you like, that's what you should try to go for, right? So
Yes.
I don't think there's any lack of business. So instead, because it's an area that has so much potential in general. So just find the one that you find really interesting, and then go with that. Try that, and maybe if there's nothing in Portugal, then my friend, you gotta pack the bags and go where it is. And it's really nice to eat mama food, but it's also nice to get out of there and grow up a bit, and maybe eventually come back and actually
Yes.
contribute again when you come back, because we deeply care about our country, but life is short. So I think if you really care about something specific, see where those companies are, see what they're doing, see if they need someone with your expertise, and
Yes.
contact them, do an internship with them, try to get a job with them, of course, or a student job. I don't know. Sometimes, for example, here in Denmark, you can study and you can have a student job at the same time, and you can work for these companies as a student worker, still getting a decent salary. Of course, it's a student salary, but still good enough to live and to live on. So yeah, be smart and look around, and you might find something that gives you motivation and purpose, and only after that you should think about the money. I mean, you need to find something that drives you, and something for the long term. I think there's a real bright future. Yes,
I
definitely.
hope so.
Yeah.
So, really appreciate your presence. It was a pleasure to talk with you and hear a little more about this topic of rehabilitation engineering. I wish you much professional success. And to our listeners there, thank you for being on our side. We hope you enjoy and learn a little more about this topic. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Breath of Science.